There's a specific kind of loneliness that happens in a crowded room. You know this feeling. You are standing there, holding a drink you don't really want, watching the world spin around you. You see people laughing, connecting, moving with a kind of magnetic gravity that you can't seem to replicate. You speak, and the words seem to dissolve. Before they reach anyone's ears, you exist, but you don't feel seen. And then, you look across the room. You see someone who isn't the loudest person there. They aren't the most attractive or the wealthiest, but the air seems to bend around them. When they speak, people lean in. When they move, the room shifts. They're playing a game you don't know the rules to. For years, we have been told that this magnetism is a gift. You're either born with charisma or you're destined to watch from the sidelines. That is a lie. Magnetism isn't magic. It is mechanics. It is a deep psychological understanding of the human operating system. And the manual for that system has been sitting in plain sight for nearly a century. Today, we aren't just reading a book. We are deconstructing the physics of human connection. We are going to learn how to turn the lights on. To understand how to win friends and influence people, you have to strip away the baggage. Over the decades, this title has been hijacked. It's been shelved in the business section, treated like a manual for used car salesmen or corporate climbers looking to manipulate their way to the middle management. If that is what you think this is, you are missing the soul of the work. Dale Carnegie didn't write a book about sales. He wrote a book about survival. Think about the human animal. We are not the strongest species. We don't have claws. We don't have thick fur. Our superpower, the only reason we survived the savannah, is our ability to cooperate, to tribe up, to be accepted by the group. For our ancestors, social rejection wasn't just sad, it was a death sentence. This anxiety lives in you today. It's why you replay awkward conversations in the shower 3 days later. It's why criticism feels like a physical blow to the stomach. We are walking around with a prehistoric nervous system that is terrified of being exiled. Carnegie's genius was this. He stopped looking at logic and started looking at emotion. He realized that human beings are not creatures of logic. We are creatures of emotion, bristling with prejudices and motivated by pride and vanity. The soul of this philosophy is a single, terrifying realization. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle to feel important. The waiter, your boss, your spouse, the stranger on the subway, they are all starring in a movie called My Life, and they are desperate for a supporting cast who acknowledges their role. Most of us walk around trying to be the star in everyone else's movie. We try to impress, we try to correct, we try to win. But the secret, the context of this entire philosophy is to stop trying to be the star. When you flip the script, when you become the person who holds the mirror up to others and shows them the best version of themselves, you don't just win friends, you become a source of oxygen. In a world that is suffocating for validation, this isn't about manipulation, it's about mercy, it's about understanding the fragility of the human ego and deciding consciously to handle it with care. Core Idea 1, the archaeology of Virtue. Let's begin with the foundation, the bedrock. The deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important, not just to be safe or fed or comfortable, but to matter. Freud called it the desire to be great. Dewey called it the desire to be important. Carnegie argues that this hunger is as real as the hunger for food. Yet, in our daily lives, we starve the people around us. We are quick to criticize, quick to judge, and quick to point out the flaw in the painting. We think we are being helpful. We think we are improving them. But we are actually severing the connection. Here is the trap we all fall into. Most people think, if I criticize this person, they will change. If I point out their error, they will improve. If I withhold praise, they will work harder to earn it. But the truth is, Criticism is a homing pigeon. It always flies back home. When you criticize someone, you are not engaging their logic. You are attacking their identity. You are wounding their pride. And a person with wounded pride does not learn, they defend. They will burn down the house just to prove they were right. To light the match, we think that being brutally honest is a virtue. It is often just cruelty, dressed up as efficiency. The truth is this: people will do almost anything for you. If they feel you are on their side, they will do almost nothing if they feel you are judging them. So, how do we operationalize this? How do we stop the habit of condemnation? We need a system. Adopt the 3-second audit. Before you offer feedback, correction, or a complaint, pause for 3 seconds. Ask yourself, am I saying this to help them or to relieve my own frustration? If it is for you, swallow it. Silence is better than toxic truth. Stop viewing yourself as a correction officer of life. Start viewing yourself as an archaeologist of virtue. Your job in every interaction is to dig through the dirt and debris of someone's personality to find the one gold coin, the one thing they are doing right. And when you find it, you polish it. You hold it up. I am a source of fuel, not friction. When people leave a conversation with me, they like themselves more, not less. For the next month, refuse to speak a single word of criticism about anyone to their face or behind their back. If you fail, you reset the clock. Instead, replace it with specific, honest appreciation, not flattery. Flattery is cheap, it's counterfeit money. Appreciation is sincere. Find one small thing, the way they handled a rude client, the way they organized the file, and mention it. Imagine a construction foreman. He used to scream at his workers for not wearing hard hats. He'd shout, "Hey! Can't you read the signs?" The workers would put the hats on while he watched and take them off. The second he left, they hated him. They rebelled against the rule because they rejected the ruler. Then he changed. He saw a worker without a hat. He walked over, spoke softly, and said, "This hat is designed to protect you from falling debris. I don't want you to get hurt. You matter to this crew." The result? The workers wore the hats, not because they were forced, but because they felt cared for. The rule remained the same. The emotion changed everything. Core Idea 2, the invisible spotlight. Now that we have stopped the bleeding caused by criticism, we need to look at attraction. How do you draw people in? We are all broadcasting on a radio station called WIEFM. What's in it for me? We look at group photos. And who do we search for first? Ourselves. We are obsessed with our own story. The mistake we make is assuming that to make friends we need to be the most interesting person in the room. We think we need better stories, better jokes, better insights. Carnegie flips this entirely. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Most people think, to be charismatic, I need to perform, I need to shine, I need the spotlight. But the truth is, the spotlight is not a tool for illumination. It is a tool for blinding. When you shine the light on yourself, you blind the other person. They can't see you. They can only see your ego. True charisma isn't about being interesting. It is about being interesting. It is the subtle art of making the other person the protagonist of the moment. When you do this, a chemical shift happens in their brain. They feel safe, they feel valued, and they instantly attribute high intelligence and high value to you simply because you had the wisdom to listen to them. This is harder than it sounds because our egos want to talk. Here's the protocol. Use the 2-question deep dive. When someone mentions a topic, their job, a hobby, a trip, never let it pass. With a simple, "Oh, nice," you must ask 2 follow-up questions. Question 1, the logistics. How long have you been doing that? Question 2. The emotion. What is it about that specific thing that you love so much? The second question is the key. It moves them from their head to their heart. Adopt the mindset, everyone is an expert in something I am ignorant about. The janitor knows something about chemistry you don't. The Uber driver knows something about human nature you missed. Your goal is to extract that wisdom. You are a student, always. I am a relentless explorer of human depth. I do not reload my weapon while others are speaking. I listen to understand, not to reply. The silence audit. In your next interaction, track how much you talk versus how much you listen. Aim for 20/80 split. If you find yourself telling a story, cut it short and ask, but enough about that, what do you think about? Force the spotlight off yourself. Physically feel the tension of wanting to speak and let it pass. Think of a dinner party. You are seated next to a botanist. You know nothing about plants. You don't care about plants. But instead of talking about your own job in marketing, you ask, why plants? What is it about them that fascinated you enough to dedicate your life to it? Suddenly he lights up. He talks about the secret life of trees, how roots communicate, the wars fought in the soil. He speaks for hours. You say almost nothing. At the end of the night, he tells the host that you were the most interesting conversationalist he has ever met. You didn't say a word. You just gave him the stage. You gave him the gift of his own voice. We have established the baseline. We have learned to holster our criticism, to stop the flow of toxicity that poisons relationships. We have learned to turn the spotlight outward, to satisfy the deep, aching hunger for importance that drives everyone we meet. If you only did these two things, if you only stopped judging and started listening, your life would change, the friction would disappear. From your daily encounters, you would be liked, you would be welcome, but is being liked enough? Because the world is not just a dinner party. The world is also a battlefield of ideas. There are times when you cannot just listen. There are times when you need to change a mind, times when you need to handle a complaint, defuse a bomb, or lead a team through a crisis. What happens when you disagree? What happens when the other person is wrong, dead wrong, and their mistake is costing you money, or time, or sanity? How do you tell someone they're wrong without making them hate you? How do you change a person's behavior without sparking a war? This brings us to the deeper waters, the darker art of influence. We are standing at the edge of a conflict. So far, we have learned how to be safe and how to be fascinating. But now, we have to navigate the minefield. We have to deal with the moments when the world says no, when egos clash, and when the desire to be right threatens to burn everything to the ground. Most people handle disagreement like a gladiator match. They sharpen their logic, they gather their evidence, they prepare to strike the fatal blow, the blow that proves, once and for all, that they are smart, and the other person is a fool. But Carnegie warns us, in the world of human connection, if you win the battle, you lose the war. Core Idea 3, the AI Kaido of argument. There is a pervasive myth in our culture that rational debate changes minds. We believe that if we just explain the facts clearly enough, the other person will see the light, apologize, and thank us for correcting them. Carnegie destroys this myth. He states clearly, you can't win an argument. If you lose it, you lose it, and if you win it, you lose it. Why? Because if you triumph over the other man and shoot his argument full of holes and prove that he is non compos mentis, what happens? You feel fine, but what about him? You have made him feel inferior. You have hurt his pride. And a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Most people think the goal of a disagreement is to find the truth. But the truth is, the goal of a disagreement is to preserve the relationship. Logic is useless against emotion. When two people argue, they are not debating facts, they are defending their identities. When you attack someone's opinion, you are not attacking a floating idea. You are attacking the fortress of their ego. And the harder you push, the tighter they lock the gates. The only way to win is to not play. To sidestep the force rather than meet it head on. We need a protocol for conflict, one that bypasses the ego's defense system. The immediate agreement. When someone confronts you or disagrees, your first instinct is to defend. Suppress it. Instead, find the one small thing in their statement that is true. Agree with it immediately and enthusiastically. You are right about the timing being tight. I completely agree that this looks risky. This steals their thunder. You cannot argue with someone who agrees with you. Stop thinking of yourself as a debater. Start thinking of yourself as a diplomat. A debater wants to score points. A diplomat wants to keep the peace treaty intact. So trade can continue. I am bigger than the need to be right. I prioritize connection over correction. The drop the rope challenge. For 1 month, whenever you feel the urge to correct someone on a trivial matter, a fact about a movie, a political opinion, a mispronounced word, let it go. Drop the rope, smile, let them be wrong. Watch how much energy you save. Carnegie tells the story of a truck salesman. He was failing. Every time a customer said, "But the Who's It truck is better," the salesman would turn red. He would argue. He would explain. He would prove why the Who's It was garbage. He won the arguments, but he sold no trucks. Carnegie told him to change. The next time a customer said, "The Who's It is better," the salesman said, "You know what? The Who's It is a fine truck, made by a great company." The customer was stunned. There was nothing left to fight about. The argument ended. The tension vanished. And the salesman could finally talk about his truck. He stopped fighting the customer and started leading him. Core Idea 4, the reputation architect. Now, the final piece of the puzzle. How do you change someone who doesn't want to change? How do you lead without breeding resentment? Usually, when we want to change someone's behavior, a messy child, a lazy employee, a partner who is always late, we use the Shane method. We point out their flaw. We label them. You are so messy. You are so irresponsible. Psychologically, this is disastrous. When you give someone a negative label, they tend to live down to it. They think, well, if I'm the messy one, I might as well leave my socks on the floor. Carnegie offers the inverse. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Most people think, I need to call out the bad behavior to fix it. But the truth is, people act according to the role you cast them in. If you treat a man like a thief, he will steal from you. If you treat him like a gentleman, he will often struggle to maintain that image. Even if he isn't one yet, you can literally speak a new version of a person into existence. By treating them as if they are already that person, you are going to place a crown on their head and watch them grow into it. Before you correct, crown them. Connect the behavior you want to a virtue they possess. Instead of, "Stop being so late," try, "I know you are someone who deeply respects my time and values reliability. So I was surprised when you weren't here at 5. You are framing the mistake as a deviation from their true, noble self, not a confirmation of their bad self. You are a reputation architect. You are building a scaffolding for them to climb up. I see people not as they are, but as they could be. Select one difficult person in your life. Identify the flaw that drives you crazy. Now pretend they have the opposite virtue. Speak to them as if they are already patient or already generous. Do this for 30 days. Watch them twist themselves in knots, trying not to disappoint your high opinion of them. A mechanic was doing sloppy work on a customer's car. The customer didn't scream. He didn't demand a refund. He looked the mechanic in the eye and said, "I've heard you are the best mechanic in this city. I know you take pride in your craft." The mechanic didn't just fix the car. He polished the engine. He stayed late. He did the best work of his life. Why? Because he couldn't bear to shatter the image of the best mechanic that the customer had given him. He rose to meet the reputation. We have covered the systems, the archaeology of virtue. the invisible spotlight, the Aikido of argument, the reputation architect. But now, we must face the uncomfortable truth, the shadow side of this book. If you've been listening to this and thinking, great, I will use these tricks to manipulate people, to get what I want, to sell more, to trick people into liking me, you will fail. You will fail spectacularly, because human beings have a sixth sense for insincerity. We can smell a technique a mile away. If you smile without warmth, it looks like a sneer. If you praise without belief, it sounds like a bribe. The twist of Dale Carnegie's work, the part that the critics miss, is that this is not a book about changing others. It is a book about killing your own ego. To truly win friends, you cannot just act interested. You have to actually be interested. To truly influence people, you cannot just fake appreciation. You have to actually find something to appreciate. This requires a fundamental reconstruction of your heart. It requires you to look at a boring, frustrating, flawed human being and choose to see the divinity in them. It requires you to humble yourself, to step out of your own spotlight, and serve. If you use these principles as a sword, they will break. If you use them as a shield, they will rust. But if you use them as a light, if you use them because you genuinely love people, they become a superpower. So, where does this leave us? We leave with a toolkit, but more importantly, we leave with a mission. We stop being the judge, and we become the archaeologist. Digging for gold in the debris of human imperfection, we stop fighting for the spotlight, and we become the mirror, reflecting the light back onto those who are starving for it. We stop winning arguments to feed our pride and start building bridges to feed our souls. Think of the sun and the wind. The wind tried to force the man to take off his coat by blowing hard. The man only wrapped his coat tighter. The sun simply shone. It gave warmth, and the man took off the coat himself. You are the sun. Your warmth is your influence. I want you to sit with this question tonight. If everyone you met today treated you with the exact same level of attention, patience, and kindness that you treated them, would you feel loved? There is no secret to human connection. There is only the choice to be the one who goes first, to be the first to smile, the first to forgive, the first to listen. Be that person, and the world is yours. If this deep dive shifted your perspective, I have a question for you in the comments. What is the one relationship in your life that would change the most if you stopped trying to win and started trying to understand? Let me know down below. I'll see you there.